All right, folks, I keep promising I was going to make some videos, so I did it. This is going to be basic and hopefully you can see this screen. All right. So I'm going to walk through this. You can share this if you want. My goal is to actually make some similar videos with better graphics, obviously, or even this, but you guys are all my test subjects at this point. But I did promise that I would do a video. I guess I should have named my actor here. But this is what I want you to imagine, that this is a mountain, and the distance from the top, excuse me, from the bottom to the top is 1 mile on each side. Okay. So it's 1 mile up, 1 mile down. This is what I'm hoping people can use this analogy to understand how a put and how a call works. So I'm not going to get into the dynamic of what makes up the put and the call. So calls are on one side, puts are on the other. Okay. When a stock increases, so let's say if you bought a call for $5. So the stock is at 10, but the call is at $5. When the stock goes up, whoops, I didn't have to fix it, but it would have bugged me, right? All right. Again, we're learning. Okay. So let's just assume stock actor. That's the name of the stock is actor. Actor is at $10. So you buy a call for $5. When actor goes up to 20, the call is now worth $10. So most people can understand that because the stock increases, the call increases. Here's where people struggle. A put increases as the stock decreases in value. So I thought if it's 1 mile up, it's 1 mile down. So if you can imagine, calls are this side of the mountain, okay? It's the same distance, whether it's up or down, right? If this was a flat piece of paper and this was 3 inches, that's also 3 inches. The distance is the same. So look at it that way. So when the put will increase as the stock goes down. Okay. So if the stock is at 20, if actor is at 20, and then it goes down to 10, same distance, and you bought the put for $5, it goes from 20 to 10. The put is now worth $10. Okay. So calls increase as the stock goes up and they decrease as the stock goes down. This is just the other side of the mountain. Puts increase as the stock goes down and decrease when the stock goes up. All right. So these are the things you want to imagine. If your stock is traveling ching, ching, and that is $10, you purchase a call here, it's now worth, you purchase it for 5, it's now worth 10. You sell it, you just made $5 profit. Now we think the stock is going to go down. You buy the put for $5, it goes down from 20 to 10, same price action. Your put is now worth $10 and you sell it. That's how it works. All it is it mirrors the distance the stock travels, not the direction. Okay. So it'll increase as long as the stock is moving down, and it will decrease if the stock moves up. So if you were to buy the put here and the stock goes up to 40, you bought your put at 5, your put would be worth a nickel. or a dollar. You just lost all that money because the stock went up. So why do I say that? What I like to do, and this is where the lesson's going to come in. Um, what I like to do is sell puts for cash flow. People always ask me, what the hell does that mean? How do you do it? Sell puts for cash flow. This is what we're going to do. So imagine, okay, that this is the price action. Let's say the stock is down here at $8, okay? Actor, we're calling it. Okay. The stock is at $8. And you sell the put. Now remember, when the stock increases, the put decreases in value. Okay. Because it'll increase only when the stock is going down. So if the stock goes sideways or up, okay, if a stock goes up, your put value goes down. And it'll go down in that same distance, let's say. So let's say the stock is 8 and the put uh, is, let's say, oops, just to keep the math simple, $2. Okay. If this stock goes up, your put will be worth 0. Now, here's the question. Why is that good? Because we sold the put for $2. We are selling the puts first. All right. So this is the other thing that confuses people. They always ask, how can you sell something you don't own? Don't get caught up in that for now. Just know that you can. Okay. You sell the put for $2. The stock goes up or sideways. As long as the stock closes above $8 at anywhere on this mountain, you can go up to 20, come back down to 850. If the stock closes on Friday above $8, you keep the $2. And that's cash flow. Remember, you only make money when you sell something. Anybody listening to this that's a salesperson, you don't get paid when you make a sales call. You don't get paid when you drop off information, right? It's like real estate. You buy a house, you're not making any money. You put all that effort, that work into it. When you flip it and you sell it, that's when you make money. So you make money when you sell. You do not make money when you buy. So why would you buy something and risk losing it? Right? You buy the call. If it doesn't go up, you will lose your money. When you sell the put, the stock can go up, sideways, and sometimes down because, see, we sold it at a $2 difference. The stock was at 8, not 10. Well, sorry. We sold the put, the $8 put, while the stock is at 10. So I'm going to try to explain that a little further in my next slide. So hopefully this makes sense. I'm going to pause the recording. And remember, it's the distance traveled. If the stock travels 1 mile, your call will increase. If it travels 1 mile down, your put will increase. All right. So let's see. Hopefully that makes some sense. It is the most difficult thing to explain. But it really is that simple. Distance traveled. Okay, so this is Tesla. All right, we're looking at 2 days. As you can see at the bottom here, it says it's Tuesday. Typically would be Monday, But this week there was no trading on Monday because of MLK. So we started trading on Tuesday. So I'm going to give you a little side note here, a little extra. See this gap? This is where it closed Friday. I don't know when anybody will look at this, but this was the Greenland news. Okay. We're going to do a different video on how to trade news, especially with Trump. The market is totally manipulated, whether you love him or hate him. It's irrelevant. It's the market uses him as an excuse to take your money. So all the Trump stuff, right? Or Greenland, excuse me. So the market slams down. Okay. It closed at 437. Tuesday, it opens at 429. All right. So the reason I'm showing you this chart is you can see it's basically going up and down, slams down, goes up and down, all the way back to the same price. So if you don't think that that's a manipulation to take everyone's money, right? Slams it down. And what do people do? Oh my God, Tesla's down. Sell, sell, sell. Look at this sell off, right? So the people, the retail people, bad news. Oh, we got to sell. Oh, I'm going to lose. They sell off. The institutional investors slam it down because remember the previous conversation? When you own a put and it goes down that much, 1 mile traveled is all profit. So they bought puts, they slam it down, they make their money, they take it off the table, and then it starts buying. That's what these green bars are. So at any rate, this is a 15-minute time frame starting Tuesday. So it slams down. So what did I do? I'm going to show you here. If you look at it on days, it's down in a buy zone, and I'll dig into this deeper. But that means Tesla is going to become bullish somewhere in this time frame, more than likely. Never guaranteed, because these have crossed and it's down, it's selling off. But eventually it's going to cross like it did here and get into a buy zone when these are low. Okay. So what I did is I sold the 425 put for $7. Okay. I'm going to back to the 15. So what happens, not a trick question, but just keep the number 7 in your mind. I sold the put for $7. What happens to a put when the stock increases in price? Remember, a mile traveled up, a put decreases in value. So as you can see, it went right back to 438. So I sold the put for $7. This isn't totally accurate. But the 425 closed out at 250. It was lower, because the stock pulled back down. But in this, if you sell it for 7 and buy it back for 2, you keep $5, right? One contract is $500, and we'll go into that again. But that's how you make $5 in 2 days. Because the stock, you sold it low, it goes up and you buy it back to close, or you just let it expire. As long as Tesla closes Friday above 425, you can keep the whole $7 premium. See how it's above? It went a little bit below, went down to 417. Maybe the timing or the better put would have been the 422, excuse me, or the 420. I mean, that would have been perfect if you timed it here, looking at it till it started to break up. But at any rate, my point is sell it for 7, stock goes up, you keep all that profit. I hope that makes sense, but that's what I do. So if Tesla goes sideways, up, or from here, even a little down, you keep the premium. If it closes below 425, well, that's where I own it. So let's say it does. Let's just say it closes at 420. Well, like we said, it's at the bottom of a zone, and that's where we'll start doing covered calls. But we'll teach that in the next lesson. Hopefully trying to explain that when a stock goes sideways or up and you sell the put, you keep the premium, right? In this example, let's just say, we'll go into next week, but let's say tomorrow morning, you sell the put, the 420 put, you could get $9.30. So one contract is $930. If this stock closes above $420 on January 30th, so 420 or above, you keep that whole $930. All right, so I'm going to send everybody this video. I'm hoping it made sense. But maybe it made some questions, and then you guys can tell me what you did or didn't understand, and I can try to make more videos. Clearing up questions, but any input would be great. I know it's a complicated sounding thing, but it's really as simple as that mountain. Stock goes up, call increases. Stock goes down, put increases. So what I look to do is for a stock that's going to go up or sideways, and I just keep the premium. So maybe I should go into that a little more before we end it. Let me throw up my whiteboard again. So in the example I just showed you of Tesla, put a box here, just right all over everything. Let's put it here. So let's just say we sold it for $9. Okay. Now, one contract is worth 100 shares. So that equals, whoops, $900. Okay. Remember, $9. One contract is 100 shares. So 9 times 100 is 900. Now, where is Tesla? It was 420 is what we're talking about. So you have to have enough to cover that transaction. So 100 shares at $420 equals 420 plus 2 more zeros, $42,000. So if you had 42,000 in your account, you could trade Tesla and in this example make $900 a week. So 10% is $4,200, right? It's not too shabby. 1% is 420. So this is 2% a week. 900 a week off 42,000. That's a pretty solid investment or a pretty solid trading strategy.